Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 2025 film Popeye the Slayer Man, and this is directed by Robert Michael Ryan and stars Sean Michael Conway and Alina Giuliano. A group of friends who want to film a documentary based on the local legend the Slayer Man decide to hole up in the abandoned spinach factory where he is said to still haunt and find themselves being taken out one by one. Now, within the space of a month, we do have another Popeye horror movie out, believe it or not. These public domain horror movies are starting to become a thing now, aren't they? But forget all that jazz. I've spoke about it enough in my Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 review and my Popeye's Revenge review, which I did last month. So if you want to check them out, guys, I'll leave it in the links down below. But let's just get into this one. First off, let's just start with that title, Popeye the Slayer Man. I mean, I told all my friends I was going to watch this movie, and they kind of laughed, but not in a derogatory way towards the movie. They just thought it was a fun title as well, and it is. I mean, it catches the eye, doesn't it? I mean, when you hear that, if you're into this type of movie, it begs you to watch it. And this is made for me. I absolutely love slasher films. I'll watch virtually anything in the slasher subgenre. And this is a movie that could have been very easily made with no heart or no real story towards it. Kind of like The Mousetrap, which is easily the worst of these public domain movies. I'll leave that in the link down below, guys, if you want to check my thoughts on that one. But this one, I think there's enough meat on the bones here to sort of get invested. I love story in my horror movies, and this one, it has just enough, even if it is just minimal. Now, having our characters want to film a local legend and, sort of documentate it all and finding these little bits of information out about the Slayer Man along the way was cool enough, I thought, but there's a lot of Popeye lore thrown in here. Now, I've never really watched the program Popeye or the cartoon, but I know enough to think that to see that he smokes a pipe, he has a boat, and he eats a lot of spinach. And they do what they can here to throw all that into the story, and for the most part, kind of works. I mean, there's even a little subplot here about the spinach that Popeye is eating and what this factory has been producing over the years, which was kind of interesting, I thought. Characters can smell his pipe when he isn't too far away, and it kind of puts them on edge there. And also, he has the catchphrase, and he actually says it in here, I am what I am, and I believe he says that in the cartoons. So, yeah, even more than Popeye's Revenge, this one sticks to the original formula a lot more than that one did. I actually really loved one scene where these characters were hiding out in the factory and this can of spinach just rolls out of the shadows towards them. It's so cheesy, but my wife was laughing her ass off because she just found it to be a fun film, and you can't take it too seriously or anything like that, although the movie kind of does try to be a little bit too serious at times. But moments like this, kind of threw a few laughs in there as well. And, I just love all that. But also there's a moment where Popeye grabs this big, heavy anchor and slams it down one of his victims' helpless bodies. I mean, the movie does go for it in the gore department as well. And this is where I've got to talk about the practical effects. I was very, very surprised by how good some of these practical effects were in this film. It's like The Apprentice of Damien Leone came in and said, look, I'm going to work my magic and show what I can do after learning off him. Because there was some moments where I like, man, that looked really good for such a low budget movie. And I don't believe there was any CGI in this film whatsoever. So kudos to them for doing that and sticking to the original plan of wanting it to be practical effects. But there's a moment where a woman's scalp is torn off in this movie because it's pulled by her hair, and I thought it looked pretty damn awesome, to be honest. I was like very, very surprised at how good the kills were in this movie. Now, I don't want to compare to Popeye's Revenge too much, but there's a lot of kills in that movie that are just cut away, and you don't really see. You could tell they didn't really know how to get the creative juices flowing there. But here, I thought the kills were the absolute best thing about this movie, even if there are fewer in here than Popeye's Revenge. I gotta say, our two main protagonists were quite likeable here. They were well acted, I thought, which isn't usually the case sometimes with these movies. I had a few issues with that with Popeye's Revenge, and Mickey's Mousetrap, the acting there wasn't great either. But here, I think our two leads do a great job. Sean Michael Conway, the one who wants to be like this documentary filmmaker, he's kind of a cool character to be behind. But Alina Giuliano, I think This was her first movie. Looking by Letterboxd, I don't think she's been in anything else, so this might be her debut. Don't quote me on that, but from what I can see and gather, this is the first film she's been in. She looked like she'd been acting for a long time. I thought she was definitely the standout here and the one who stood head and shoulders above everyone. And I thought that both of them had quite good chemistry together. So yeah, two protagonists that you kind of get behind here, and they are the main focus of who we're following around. So that was a big plus because they are the best actors in the entire film. But to be honest here, most of the cast were fine. There were one or two that really stood out like a sore thumb. I'm not going to name any names, but not everyone is great in this movie. There is one or two performances I was like, oh yeah, you can tell this is kind of why they haven't been in too many movies or they're just starting out or whatever. But the big problem is, even if the acting is good, and this is a problem with a lot of slasher movies, guys, there's just no personality to all of the side characters in this movie. They are cardboard cutout characters. They are just there to be slayed by Popeye, the Slayer Man. Excuse the pun. So yeah, there's no one to really get behind. You don't really care what happens to them, apart from our two main protagonists. And you kind of just want Popeye to actually give them the worst death imaginable because you don't attach yourself to them whatsoever. And it's, look, a lot of slashers, like I said, do this. Even some of the best slashers out there have poor side characters. It's just one of them things that, unless you're one of the best writers out there, it can't really be helped at times. The characters aren't helped by some of the poor decision making they do here either. I mean, there's two characters at the start of this movie who are chasing this woman through this spinach factory, and it takes about 5 minutes for them to actually find and catch it. And when they do, one of them says, "Haha, I found you," and then just lets her go.
Yeah. Weird.
There's also when the characters who are doing this documentary get to the spinach factory, they just split up. First thing they do, they don't look around or anything, they just split up. Really? And these are just becoming dumb horror cliches at this point, aren't they? And we have one of them, my worst horror cliche ever. This guy stands on a nail as he's getting chased by Popeye, and yeah, he's limping. So to slow him down so Popeye can catch him. That is the most laziest thing you could ever do in a horror movie. It really winds me up. Yeah, we need to move on from that injured leg / foot trope now, don't we? Because it's never scary. It just is predictable now. The costume design on Popeye, unfortunately, is also kind of poor, I think. He kind of looks like the Michelin Man with his big foamy forearms, and his face is blown up massively, but it kind of looks like really square looking. I think, yeah, the costume design on Popeye just didn't work for me at all here. It looked slightly ridiculous, I'm sorry to say. However, the movie's biggest problem for me was the location of this spinach factory. I know they're trying to incorporate the spinach, what Popeye eats and stuff into this movie and stuff, and that's fine. But we spend nearly the entire film here, and it just starts to, after the halfway mark, become very gloomy looking, dull and depressing. And the longer you're there with these characters, it kind of just grates on you and feels all too familiar. So yeah, I didn't really get on board with the location after about the halfway point here. I was just like, oh man, this is really looking a bit of an eyesore now. There's also a moment later on where we find something in this factory. I'm not going to name what it is or anything, but I was just like, really? No one has ever noticed that before? 20 years have passed since this factory has been abandoned, but there's been murders here, people have gone missing, and it's all rumoured to be in this factory, so I'm sure the police and stuff would have came here and looked. I was just like, really? Okay, maybe that's me just poking plot holes there, but I just found that very unrealistic. However, guys, after seeing the trailer for this movie and thinking it looked quite bad, mainly down to the design of Popeye himself, I was actually a little bit surprised how much better I found it than I thought it was going to be. Look, it's not a great movie, to be honest, but the practical effects were quite impressive for me, and there was quite a few more things to like, despite it having a lot of flaws as well. I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. I'm going to give Popeye the Slayer Man a 5 out of 10. I think Popeye's Revenge is very slightly the better movie out of the two, but you got to remember as well, go into these movies with low expectations. They're done on a very low budget, and they're kind of doing what they can. And look, it's very easy to do something like Mickey's Mousetrap here, but there's enough heart and soul in this movie to... I feel like the director was trying here, put it that way. Okay guys, hope you all enjoyed this review. What did you think of Popeye the Slayer Man? Have you not seen it yet? Do you plan on watching it? Please do let me know down below. If you want to check out more 2025 movie reviews, there'll be a link down below as well, guys. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel if horror is your sort of thing. It really helped me out. Thanks so much. You take care, and I'll see you all in the next video.